Hey, all y'all out there in social media world. Tiffanie Kellog here for another fabulous Friday, and I am joined today by Nana Obeng. So excited to have you here with us.
Thanks so
Welcome.
much. Thanks so much for having me.
Where are you joining us from? Where in the world are you?
In fact, I'm in Latin America. I am in Brazil
Ah,
today. Yeah.
nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Today,
yeah.
are you kind of all over the place all the time, or what's that look
You
like
know
for you?
what? You know what? I try to be in different places, but most of the time spend most of my time in Canada, but I do frequent the US as well. So I'm a girl that likes to be as international as possible. So, yeah.
Which is something that I find is not common with all entrepreneurs. But I
Mhm.
have found that women entrepreneurs living child free do have a tendency to travel more internationally.
You know what? This is one of the things, for me, I partner with women-led businesses, and there's a couple things that I love about it. One is that women actually bring a unique strength, right? They're able to balance human intelligence, technical intelligence, and emotional intelligence. And what that means really is that they're able to provide services and products that are broad for a broader audience. They've got a different and unique experience or perspective to bring services and products to a variety of people. And on top of that, these women are obviously very ambitious. When you're talking about, traveling and working in different places, and one thing about ambitious women, particularly ambitious women who are child free,
Mhm.
they recognize that they have the capacity to do many things that women who do have children do not. So, for example, the decision making process is a lot quicker, right? There's less to consider, less people to confer with. They have the ability to invest more capital into their business. They can take more risks while they are child free, which helps them to really propel their businesses forward in a way that they are dictating and the way that they truly want. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I was just speaking with someone a couple of hours ago, and they're like, "Are you doing a European leg of your book tour?" And I was like, "Well, I have not scheduled it yet. I'm kind of going where I'm asked to go." And she's like, "I've got some folks here in Germany. We can do it." And I'm like, "Well, I was talking to Nolene, another one of our amazing women entrepreneurs living child free, and she's like, I know some people in the UK." And I'm like, "Huh." I think I might need to go to to Europe for part of my book tour. And I went to my husband and I said, "Honey, is there any time, in the spring, the summer that you're not traveling a lot, so I can consider whether I take you with you or take you with
Hmm.
me, or whether I go solo?" Like that was the extent of the decision making process of, am I even going to go? What does that look like? No
Yeah.
idea. I'm just like, yeah. The only question is, am I taking my husband with me or not?
Yeah. I mean, this is
Mom, it would be a very, like, a massively
challenging.
conversation.
Absolutely. So, like women who are child free have some unique advantages, right? Not only just the flexibility to go to different places and network in dynamic and different ways,
Mm.
but even the mental capacity that is afforded to them is a lot greater. Now, don't get me wrong, child free women also are oftentimes, well, probably adult children, right? And they are also, managing their parents, their own health, and they have their own challenges like every other woman. But there are some advantages that I think sometimes they don't necessarily recognize. Oftentimes, when you're living child free, a lot of the discussion leans a little bit negative about,
Mm.
why maybe perhaps you don't have children, but there are a lot of advantages, really, particularly when you are building business. And I think that women who are child free really need to embrace that, step into it in a strong and powerful way, and think about how they can, really take command of their business and grow it in the way that they truly want. Like they really have capacity and the flexibility to do that. So,
I love that. I love that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
y'all, if you're watching, it's not that Nana only works with child free,
yeah.
and she works with all businesses. So she is, let me give you a little bit of the bio. We're not going to make it through it all. Nana is a fractional COO and strategic partner to CEOs, especially women-led businesses, building and growing companies in health and clean personal care products and services. And so just for the people out there watching, let's say that they're like, okay, what is a fractional COO? Maybe it's their first time
Yeah.
hearing fractional. What is
Yeah,
it about?
exactly. It is a term that not everyone is familiar with. Fractional, it's a fraction of the time. It means part-time, a part-time chief operating officer. And really that is someone who is working alongside the CEO and is really managing the teams, the processes, the people in order to realize the vision of the CEO. So the CEO or the owner may have a vision, has some type of goal to bring a product into the market, and the CEO's responsibility is to develop that roadmap, understand the vision, understand the current state of the business, the gaps, the capacity needs, the resource needs, and to build that roadmap to get to the end goal. And of course, lead the execution, right? So in a very practical way, what kind of tools do we need? What are the gaps in terms of resources, human resources? What kind of capital is expected of the business owner in order to achieve that? And really, what are the overall risks? How can we mitigate those risks? So bringing the vision into reality, to fruition, is really the job of the COO, the fractional. So that's what I do. Yeah.
And what I love about that is, because sometimes people are like, I know I need help. I just don't need a full time. I don't need the full
Correct.
salary. And so, can you talk a little bit about, is it a couple hours a month? Is it more project? And maybe it's both and other things as well. Like, how do
Yes.
you act as the fractional COO? And I think part of the question that I also want to get to, so I'm just going to give you one
Yeah.
big question with
Absolutely.
lots of things. So I know sometimes
Absolutely.
it's like, how do I want to get there? Because I know that you help businesses scale, and that's from really small to really big. And so I'm hoping, maybe in addition to exploring what are the things that you do, how does that typically work, can you give us a few tips on how we might be able to scale regardless of where we're at?
Yeah. So, basically, fractionals typically work on a fixed number of hours per month, right? So typically it can be 10 to 20 hours for some lump sum of money. So that is on a retainer. And what the potential client should really be thinking about is, in fact, the fees are for the deliverables, right? You're paying for that expertise, and it's not about punching in and punching out, and paying for tasks. Like, let's say, it's not a transactional type of role. This is strategic. You're paying for the expertise and the experience in the different industries that they come from. So, for me personally, I work on a retainer, and I'm quite flexible. It really depends on the needs of the owner. So what I typically do is have a conversation to kick things off, clarity conversation to understand, where is the business at? What are your pain points? What are you trying to achieve? And from there, we can talk about what makes sense for you. Is it, 2 to 3 days per week? And of course, it's going to depend on the capacity that I have in that moment. Is it 2 or 3 days a week? Is it that you need a more project style? So oftentimes I will start, regardless whether I'm working retainer or not, with an assessment. So everything starts with understanding what is happening in your business right now, the people, the resources, the pain points, all of those things. So there is a clear assessment that's done, and what I do is offer that for a flat rate, and it's up to you for if you want to carry on and try to execute on your own, or get that support and create a retainer, or carve out a very specific project. But typically, fractionals, the idea is to be embedded into the company and to be a part of your team, but on a part-time basis. And the reason why we can do this also is because of the expertise that we have. We're able to deliver much more than maybe somebody who's a bit more junior. And
Mm.
what just to address your question about the different sizes of companies. So my personal philosophy is that I really help people scale like I scale with them. And so your business can be fairly small and you are trying to get to a certain stage in your business. And I have different offerings depending on where you're at. I love working with solo entrepreneurs. It really just depends on what type of resources you have, what vision you have for your business. There is something in it for everyone, and really, it's just about understanding where you're at now and where you want to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm reading the book currently, Who Not How. And I'm not sure if you've read that one or not, but it talks about the fact that if you're trying to do all your business yourself, how can you ever grow? And so I'm curious, because we don't always know, like, what would I use a fractional COO for? So what
Yeah.
might be some of the problems that I'm having that ding, 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 ooh, that might be somewhere where Nana's expertise would really benefit me, and
Yes.
not having to hire somebody full time. Because pretty much anytime you've got those C-suite kind of jobs, you're going to have the C-suite salary to go with them. And I know a lot of,
Absolutely.
especially solopreneurs, to bring on a COO when you're a solopreneur is like a little overkill, but you might still go off.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what I find with a lot of clients, their situation is such that they may have a small team, but what they are feeling is a level of overwhelm and frustration because they feel that their team is not following their direction. They're not getting the results that
Mm,
they expect. Right. So they have an idea of what needs to be done, but for some reason it's not being translated. And so what happens is that they become the bottleneck. And so they are constantly uh, the individual who's responsible to make decisions. They need someone who can offload some of those responsibilities, build structure around the communication. What are the responsibilities of the different team members, and allow that CEO to spend time thinking strategically about growing the business. So rather than the CEO working on the day-to-day operations, managing people, understanding whether they're delivering, understanding why things are not being delivered the way that they need to be. That is where you want to have a COO come in to be the, let's say, right hand, right? To be able to organize the people, understand where the gaps are in terms of their capacity to deliver, like their knowledge areas, etc. So that's one area. There are some CEOs that understand that they need to refine their strategy and align it with process. So everyone has some sort of process, some sort of operation that they're running, but they do recognize that there are some real gaps. And how do they know that? Well, things are, on the brink of falling apart, right? So you're maybe one order away or one
gotcha.
service away from things going poorly, like not meeting deadlines, selling imperfect product, reworking, doing a lot of rework in your process. So where things are not smooth consistently, let's say 80% of the time, they have an understanding that there is a lack of structure, process, and system that allows the business to operate in a streamlined fashion. And so some of them are a bit maybe more experienced and understand that. And then there's others who are just looking for help and they don't actually know what kind of help. They know that they are overwhelmed in the business. They know that they are experts in what they do. The issue is that they know that they cannot accomplish it all. And so the operations person, the fractional COO, is there to be able to assess and build the structure around what pieces the COO needs to take on and what are the things that only the CEO can do.
Mm,
So our main function really is to bring about that structure. You may have an operation. People say they'll say, "Oh, well, I'm running my business just fine," but that either you are making the sales but you're not seeing the profit. That's also a trigger
Mm.
There's some things that are not working there. There's some waste that's happening in the process that you might not be aware of. A lot of it is a gut feeling that things are just not functioning the way that they need to be. And also, I think that a lot of CEOs recognize that they are trying to achieve some very ambitious things, and they know they just don't have capacity to do that. And I think, if I could just throw it out there, it's advisable to just have a conversation with a fractional COO to find out what is happening, right? Like, you talk to a finance person, you talk to any of these types of professionals, in order to really understand the needs, and to meet those needs, need to understand where you're at in this moment, right? And what you have tried and why that hasn't worked for you. So, yeah.
So before we move on, tell people how they get in touch with you. So if they're like, oh my gosh, yes,
Absolutely.
she's speaking my language. Yes, I need to get in touch with her, have a conversation, see if she can help me. How can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. You just look me up there, my name, Nanaobeng. There's not too many of us out there, I guess. So just reach out to me, DM me. That's fine. You can find me on my website as well, highpointconsulting.online. And I'm on Instagram, highpoint_consulting. Just reach out to me, and I'm happy to start a conversation and connect and understand where you might need some support in building structure and streamlining your operations. Yeah.
Awesome. So y'all reach out, and we are going to come back. I know we're going to have her give us a tip or two. However, first though, I do want to talk about, so because we always love these little random facts. So you were born left-handed and trained into right-hand dominance. We always like to talk about something fun. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a little peculiar. Well, maybe it's not that peculiar. Like, I have one other friend who had that experience. I think that most people know there was a time where, there was a thinking, whether religious or culturally, that being left-handed wasn't like the best thing. I mean, we can take an example from Ned Flanders, right? From the leftorium, like all of that.
Yes.
And so I think that I would say that I'm probably a fairly obedient person, because I was sort of trained out of it. And I do try to exercise my left hand, though, most of the time, trying to achieve that ambidextrous ability. So, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just love those little random factoids.
Yeah.
And, speaking of random factoids, we've talked a lot about work today. What do you like to do for fun?
Actually, I'm about to start picking up my love for salsa dancing as well. So that's one thing. But to be quite honest, it's pretty simple. I love to connect with people, love having coffee, food, like having conversation about them, about their businesses. I genuinely enjoy doing that. And getting to know people, like it sounds pretty boring, but I actually have a great love for understanding, people and what they're doing out there. So,
To
yeah.
me, people are so interesting. And
Yeah.
there's one thing, to take a step back and just be that curious anthropologist and like look at people. What are they doing? How are they doing it?
Yeah.
Such an interesting study that we can do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've talked quite a bit about all kinds of things, though. We've got our women entrepreneurs living child free that are watching this. Ladies, be sure to join us. We have a new date and time for our meeting because of the holidays and life and stuff. We are now going to be meeting every month on the third Tuesday of the month from 11:05 a.m. to 12:55 p.m. That is Eastern. So women entrepreneurs living child free, free event. Come out every month. We are going to be having that. So do check us out. But now you're going to give us some tips, or a tip at least, on scaling.
Well, the first thing I'd love to share is a tip, maybe two tips. I don't know.
Yeah.
One is really understanding what your vision is. What is it that you're actually trying to achieve, right? Like, getting real clear on that, and based on that, that's how you're going to build your strategy, right? All of the things that you are putting in place as part of your business is going to be pushing toward your ultimate vision. So really understanding the big picture of what it is you're trying to achieve and ensuring that everything that you add to your business, whether processes, systems, people, needs to be driving and pushing toward that ultimate vision. The other thing that I would definitely love to share is it's a very simple thing that a lot of people don't necessarily want to do. And this is about really understanding your operation from a process level, having that clearly mapped, and that is helpful when you are growing your business. So we're talking like small to mid-sized businesses here, and the purpose of that is to allow you to understand the facts about your business, who is doing what, how long things take, and being able to have a visual representation of this allows you to incorporate the continuous improvement that is operations, right? So you're able to understand, evaluate where the bottlenecks are, how long things are taking in terms of their individual activities, and make changes on paper before you start implementing and buying things and hiring. You can make decisions when the risk is low, right? So understanding the facts about what is happening and using that tool to make changes into the future. There's a whole bunch of things we could talk about, AI, but it all really starts with this understanding your process, and everything else is really about having the right people, I would say, like a fractional, to really
Yeah.
support you in terms of strategy, judgment, and leadership. And that layered with all technology, et cetera, is really going to propel you and your business forward. Yeah.
Love it. You have shared so much with us. Y'all, if you are thinking, I want to grow my business, reach out to Nana. She may be able to help you. And if she's not right for you, I'm sure she'll tell you where you can go for the right people. That's how it often is when
Yeah.
you're like, okay, is this the right fit? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And we're also always hanging out on the Facebook group for our women entrepreneurs living child free. It has been a pleasure having you
Thanks
join
so
us
much.
in Brazil, getting to hear about your
Thanks
business.
so much.
And it's our last chance here. What is it we should know before we go?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that building is hard, and it's hard to do it alone. Growing your business is hard. It's hard to do it alone. There's lots of risks, personally, financially, but you don't have to do those things alone in isolation. You are a powerhouse. We know that. We know you've got skill. We know you've got abilities. But how much more could you actually accomplish when you have the right partner in place to really help you execute the vision that you have? So always think about how you can partner with the right people to realize your personal and financial goals. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today and sharing. Thank you, women entrepreneurs, living child free, and others for watching today. We will be back next week with another amazing woman. Nana, thank you.